recap of what we talked about in terms of the individual names and the SPY and the FAANG, and then get ready for the open. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Beth. Thanks for popping in, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, my friend. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to those of you joining us on the YouTube channel. Some things did happen actually overnight. You know, it's getting a little quiet, and I don't want to overthink things, but let's take a peek. API weekly crude. Every Wednesday I say the same thing. Shit show. Okay, so it did indeed have a build, which wasn't expected. So we're seeing a little bit of the crude sell-off and some of the oil stocks. We also have, you know, I just love this, our own crude inventories coming out. So we'll see how they're looking for a draw. There's no correlation. I can tell you that right now. All right. New Zealand, current account deficit expanding. And as you can see, the reason why is that the economy is tied into the Chinese economy. So it's part of the Belt and Road Initiative. So we'll see what happens with that. Japan actually had better than expected numbers. Look at the trade balance here, guys, as a deficit. Color me surprised. All right. On the Eurozone, the German numbers were really good. Okay, so we continue to see strength off of quantitative easing that we'd like to see in the Eurozone. German is the bellwether for us in terms of going forward. Good news. All right, well, the UK, I mean, it's Boris time, and therefore we have some fun things going on there. I don't know, you know, okay, great. It's going to be very, it's like a tweet storm's going to be happening here. I don't know. CPI in check on the Eurozone. Brainerd has already spoken. Like I said, we really don't have much going on here today. It's before the holidays. Right? There was an article in investing.com that basically stated, and I actually agree with this, is that the U.S. is warning Europe they're coming after them on the trade side. Okay. Guys, day 3, without any discussions on phase 1. Good to know. And now 2020, we got to worry about, I don't know what we're going to call the European trade war. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay. So one of these articles that came out overnight, this is the Chinese newspaper run, blockchain. This is something very interesting, and I want to keep an eye on that because they're opening up their markets in the blockchain area, and I'm not exactly sure how it's going to get played out, but it's definitely something I want to see. I want to watch. Digital asset. I'm not, like I say, I'm not sure how this is going to evolve, but it's something that I would be interested down the road in investing in. Okay? Notable, South China Morning Post. You know, I like to look at that. Not a word from the the ministry. Not one word about phase 1. Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah. Skew. It was discussed yesterday. It basically is more of a, it's like the VIX, but different. Because basically, if you think about it, the VIX is in the money, at the money, and the skew is out of the money. And it basically sets up tail risk. And why is it important? It is important because it's like something that we look at in terms of like a black swan event, something like that. Okay. Barron's discussing. This is really a nice tailwind for the market. If this actually gets through, it should get through. It's called Secure, setting every community up for retirement enhancement. And what's really super cool about it, guys, as I am one of those baby boomers, you know, of certain decades, okay, it will allow me not to take, it's mandatory, right, in terms of your IRAs by age. They're looking at expanding that. Okay, looking at expanding the age in which you can actually continue to contribute. So this is actually very bullish for the market once this gets through. So we have things in place that will continue to give the market stability and actual moving forward. Let's take a look at the sentiment trader. This is a wonderful site. For those of you who are not familiar with it, I'm very data dependent, wonky stats sort of thing. I really believe in it. A lot of what I do is seasonality work, 90 to 100% probabilities, et cetera, et cetera. It's a nice compliment in the room because for what we always are 2+ weeks ahead of the rest of the world because of these these seasonality traits. All right, smart money, dumb money. As you can see here, this is an unusual type of action. Obviously, it's very bullish extension. We can see, you know, this continue on, right? And then we're going to have the blow off. Once again, I really do think, but this can last for quite some time, guys. This can last for months, this extension. So, you know, once I'm not picking a top, I'm not saying there's a top in place. I'm just saying that there are other things in place that makes me put protection on / and or raise my stops. It's that simple. You can't pick a top extensions, right? I keep mentioning Keynes. Okay, the market can stay solvent a hell of a lot longer than you can on extensions picking tops, right? Exuberance, right? Okay. MSCI, we've got to take a look at that. It's breaking out, attempting to break out. And as you can see here, short term, and I'm seeing a lot of this, and that's why I think January, February are going to be a little bit choppy, range bound. But then as we get a little bit farther out, we're going to start to see some nice pushes. That's why for me, in terms of the portfolio, I'm steering people in the swing channel, you know, 6+ months out. A lot of stuff I'm looking at 2021, 2022. Okay, what does the S&P do? Same sort of narrative, right? Going forward, as you can see. And obviously the year, and the reason why I want to go a year plus, number one, is because of the VIX is so low, the volatility premiums are so low, right? That's for one reason. And second reason is I don't have to worry about time decay or anything like that. And it's basically based off of the delta, a pure equity trade. So that's why I like to go 1 year plus this time of year, because there's so many trades available to us. Sure, we're going to talk about the DAX and the FTSE, et cetera. Starting to break out, all-time highs. What does it mean? Interestingly enough, not as bullish. Guys, when I'm looking at these stats, it has to be at least 80%. The 75% is kind of okay, but not enough to get my attention. But as you can see here, this is the sentiment, fear and greed. Where are we? It has literally no correlation, the CNN fear and greed, with the market. Just short term, maybe 1 to 2 weeks out, yada, yada. I actually have found that meaningful tops on the CNN Fear and Greed Index actually comes at more 90+, 95%. We'll see what South Beach's system that he follows is at. We'll ask him that. But as you can see here, longer dated, bullish. Okay. Okay. Commodities breaking out. It's obvious what's going on here right now. But it's not oil. Well, it's part of it's oil, but we're talking about sugar. All of this is getting expensive. Coffee. All of this is going to be important with the Fed, because we are going to start to see some inflationary prices creeping in. But they have a 2%. We're not even close to 2%, guys. So I'm not worried about that. What does it mean? The CRB index since 1970, when it gets above the 200, nada, zippo, zilcho. So I don't know. South Beach can talk more about this. Is the HYG. I've been seeing a lot of options activity on the call side. A couple weeks back was on the put side, but they're getting back into it full bore. And as you can see, longer dated, I mean, we see continuation. And this is the junk. Okay, let's take a look at some of these charts. What I like to do, guys, is time and price extensions to see where we can get. What we're setting up right now, I think, is basically a narrative similar to what we saw way back down here in 2001. So with that, we basically had a 9-10 year rally in gold. I think we're going to have the same thing. And I think we're going to have multiple years of gold being bought and gold going higher. Right? Ultimately, on the extension, we're going to, well, as you can see, just off of this extension right here, minimally, this is, as you can see here, this is off of this extension, 42% move. Off of this extension, 43% move. Okay, so if we project that out, this is how you do it, basically off of this right here. So where does that get us? A 43% extension, almost right up to here. So almost 2,000 on gold. Okay, that's initially where I see gold going to. Gonna be cool, huh? What do you think? So this is why this is a conviction trade. It's going higher. We're in 2021s, 2022s. We're in some 6 months out, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Okay, let's take a peek at this gold crude. Starting to break out a little bit. I'm not so sure it's going to happen though, guys. Ideally, I would love to see this happen, but I think gold and crude can both rally the way gold, crude, bonds can rally. Okay, and the market. It doesn't happen often, but I think there are a lot of things in place that can allow it to happen. Because don't forget, TLT is being used, right, as a commodity almost, as a safe haven. So as we get farther and farther extended in the market as a whole, that's why I think bonds. I also think, and I've been discussing this, the narrative about a short squeeze coming up. Because yesterday, both Fed heads, okay, Rosengren and Kaplan both said the same thing. They need to add to the balance sheet. They need to buy because of the repo, the issues there, structural issues there. Okay, so you've got a lot of competition plus debt, right? Federal debt is a record. Right? So you have a lot of things that can be a tailwind on the bond size for a short squeeze. Right? Okay, Bobalicious, this is the Baba Baidu spread. I'm not the only one doing it, guys. Okay, what does this mean? Basically, this means that Baba is going to consolidate, go down a little bit, while Baidu holds up and goes up. All right, so this will be, and Spartan's been shouting out Baidu regularly intraday, and I've been following him on that. All right, I really don't have the spread on right now. Ideally, I'd love to get it back down to here, to get back into it, but I don't know if that's going to happen. All right. Okay. Let's take a look at the U.S. dollar. Oh, well, this is the Chinese yuan, right? A little bit disconcerting here, guys. This is where we're bouncing, right? I would have liked continuation on the downside. But it is with the end of the year. I don't know. It could be basically range bound. I'm not sure yet. Okay. FXI breaking out, lovely. Okay, let's see what it can do. You know the drill. Basically has to break these previous highs to see it go higher. This is clearly large cap. We'll keep an eye on that. I would not be surprised to see this continue into year end as well. Let's take a look at the FTSE. Okay, this is the Boris effect. Was rallying nicely. Now it's coming back down. You know, it's like what? All right. Let's see if it holds up here or not. Right. This is the 61.8% fib. I would have liked it. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what I do with fibs, I do a lot of fibs, but we already have a Fibonacci queen here on the board, and so I really can't use that. But I'm the Delta queen. That's what I'm going to be known as, the Delta queen. But anyways, a little disappointed. Really negative, clearly, if we break below the 61.8% fib. But as long as we are below the 78.6% fib, the trend is still down. I always use the 78.6 for the confirmation. I have, over the decades, seen this happen many, many times. It'll rally up to the 78.6% fib and then fail. Okay. FDX, let's take a look at the German DAX. Interesting. This actually almost looks like a topping formation here. We can look at it half empty, half full. Consolidation, sideways consolidation for the next leg up, or failure to take out last week's high and hold above this, and potential to move down. Take your coin and off you go. EFA. This led the small caps. Okay. Right now, It needs to hold this, once again, the 61.8. So you see the pattern here, right? We have to hold the 61.8% breakout. Then next level is this. We have time, obviously, and we're still range bound. We're creating the sideways consolidation pattern. Large candle. We should have a couple inside weeks before we start up. If we don't, then clearly I'm going to be buying puts on the EFA. Right? All right, let's get to the Dow theory. The Dow theory is simple. All right? If the Dow Jones Industrial Average makes new all-time highs, which it has, the Dow transports, wherever thou goest, I shall go, should follow, right? FedEx, UPS, it's a shit show right now, right? FedEx used to be the #1 holdings of the IYT. Guess what? Now Norfolk and Southern Union Pacific, the rails out. So as you can see here, FedEx, UPS comprise 16% of the IYT. This is the transports, right? So the transport's going to get hit. Not a good, pretty picture. All right, so as you can see here, Dow, new highs, all-time highs, not so much on, this is the IYT. Not much, it'll probably come in. Right? That's a big red flag, but we've had this red flag, guys, for almost the whole year. So the market is able to move forward without that. XLV, this is really exciting for me, guys. All right, this is time and price, right, that I'm looking at on these extensions. I believe in symmetry of time and symmetry of price, right? So where are we on this XLV? And I want to bring to your attention, going back here, sideways consolidation, the breakout, and how long did this breakout start to last? Okay, 2012, all the way up to 2015. So we're talking 45 bars, 45 months. And I think that is what's going to happen with the XLV. I still like the healthcare sector. You're going to have these pullbacks, and it's fascinating, guys. The pullbacks to the reversion to the mean happen on a monthly candle. It's really quite fascinating how this works. But longer dated, okay, I don't see this rally ending until 2021. I have a lot of stuff that says the same thing. We have months and months to go in this rally. That's not to say that we can't come back in. We do have the 17 bars here as a truncated one. So basically, where does that get us? That gets us to 2021 as well. This gets us to 2023, I apologize. So, like I say, BTFD. That's what we are. SPY, same sort of narrative here. We do have, if you look at the shorter dated, this 13 bar, okay, on the monthly. Let's get out here. So that gets us to January 2020, potentially. Potentially, we do have time, okay, in place that could tell us that we could have a reversion back to the mean. So that would basically be back to the midpoint of the Bollinger. But if you look at the extension here on the symmetry off of what we saw in 2018, before that came back to reverted to the mean, we have a little bit more upside, 334. Okay. So we'll see how this plays out. As you can see here, 11, 15, 16, all over the place, right? 20. So I basically took like an average. It came out to be like 17, right? And then we'll have to start looking at going all the way back to 1998. These extensions, these melt up type things, amazing, and we have to pay attention to them. All right, let's get to the NASDAQ, same sort of narrative, time and place. We got time right here, all right? So all eyes on the Taiwan semi. I haven't done the timing, just the price. We're getting very close here, 6103. Right. Quickly, I wanted to go over a couple things with you. VIX. We saw yesterday very unusual options activity on the VIX going out to January, the end of the month. Okay, why is it notable? It was like 187,000 contracts that went through. And those weren't sweeps. A lot of those were just basically, if it was buying, remarkable, notable, be aware. I have actually started to buy some VXX, but out to February for the portfolio. But call, dangerous complacency, guys. This is the thing that actually bothers me the most, because this is a function of complacency. That means protection on, protection off. The market is, as a whole, is complacent, this is how tops are made, short-term tops are made, with complacency. All right. 68. Yeah. We're in a quadrant right now, like this quadrant that says, hey, this is the quadrant when I shout out, hey, I think the market is bottoming. This is the quadrant I shout out, hey, I think the market is topping. Is it day to day? No, it's just an indicator that gives me guidance. I want to talk about Amazon. This is the first time in, well, since August. Yeah, August, that I've been actually kind of excited about Amazon. I do have a call spread on for Friday based off of the options flow. There was a ton of money going into the 1800s. And I wouldn't be surprised if the maximum pain on Friday is 1800, okay? But I'm looking at end of the year, an iron condor that basically wraps around the concept that we could get up to the range at the end of the year, right here, at 1875. So I'm looking at something 1850, 1875, 1900. Butterfly. I'm not sure what it's going to look like yet, guys. All right, that's my story. My time is up. Once again, welcome to those of you who are joining us from YouTube. And please, I would, this Toys for Tots is a big deal for us. We're very passionate about it. If you can have the generosity to join us tomorrow and Friday, I would greatly appreciate it. It's for a good cause. All right, my friends, my time is up. Sir, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, guys, cheers. Have fun.
All right, guys, morning. If you're just joining us again, welcome back. Let's go over some of the pre-market tickers that I'm looking at today. If you guys are new to the chat, for the guys, the new members, whatever, over live, I will be posting that Discord link for you guys at the end of the Zoom stream. So when I end that off in a little bit, I'll send it to you guys, or you can just email my admin right now for it. Alrighty, so let's take a look at what we got on radar today. A couple different names that we're looking at: Win, LVS, Lilly, SLDB, Fix, FedEx. So when China raises Macau transfer limit from 50K to 80K won. So we got a whole bunch of those casino gaming names gapping up. Also, Wynn had some other news yesterday. Wynn Resorts extends CEO Matt Maddox's contract through 2022. So Wynn's gapping up on that. LVS, same news. China raises the Macau transfer limit, gapping up on that. Lilly, Morgan Stanley upgrades to overweight, price target 150. Kicking myself now that we didn't take that to get back into the 127 roll, but it is what it is. We'll look at that thing today. SLDB, positive update on its phase 1.5 study of SGT-001, gapping up on that. Fix, gapping down on their clinical data update of phase 1.5 study for PKU. And then FedEx earnings miss, EPS and revs, 2020 guidance lowered, stock is gapping down. Let's take a look at what we got going on this morning. Let's take a look. Wynn and LVS. First two that we're looking at today. So Wynn, Las Vegas Sands. Let's take a look. Stock's obviously gapping up on Wynn. Let's see where we got room to today. I'm just going to get rid of some old resistance and support lines. Let's see here. Stock's at about what? 138.21. Okay. Get rid of this stuff. Let's get rid of that. Let's do this. All right. Let's take a look at where we got room to today. Just going to extend this. Okay. There we go. I should be able to do it. Okay. So 140.39, resistance, support. Actually, going to do this. Get rid of that 140. Go top bend. 130, 141, 136, 132, and then we go a little bit higher. Let's go back. Okay. All right, that should be good. Yep, okay. So let's take a look at the stock intraday. So a couple different levels. I gotta get rid of that 140.39 level. There you go. So 138.45 is your pivot point to the upside today on wind. This level is able to hold. We got room for continuation back towards the 141.23 level. If that gets taken out, room for continuation back into the 143.79. Unable to hold that level, look for a pullback from 138.45 to the 136.02 to 132.71 on the downside. So pivot point, what's the pivot point? Major support or resistance level on the daily gets crossed and holds. You can get continuation higher into the next two resistance points, in this case 141.23 to 143s. 138.45 unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards that 136 to 132.71 area, and then we can look for basing at either one of these supports to take the stock long. Overall on wind, going to be leaning bullish, looking for continuation higher today. So look for a little bit of a consolidation, then push back to the upside. LVS, stocks gapping up. Let's take a look at where we got room to today. Okay, huge range break on the daily to the upside, nice. Let's take a look at where we got room to. So stocks at about what, 70.33 in the pre-market. Let's mark this recent range high. Need to know where that is. Let's go back. Let's look at some of the next resistance points. All right, that should be good. So pivot point on this stock to the upside today is going to be 69.82. 69.82. If this level is able to hold up, that pivot, we should see continuation towards 71 bucks today. If we can break through that resistance point, basically that pre-market high level now, we should see continuation to 72.11 on the upside. Big breakout on the daily, awesome looking chart, but huge resistance to break and hold above. If we can't get above that pivot and hold, look for a pullback to 68.47 to the 67.49 area. Then we can look for basing on there to take the stock long. Overall leaning bullish. I like the fact that it broke the pivot point. Key is going to be holding above that level on the daily for that continued push to the upside. Massive breakout again on the daily, monthly, weekly chart. It does look good, but big level to hold above this morning. So we'll see what happens there. Let's take a screenshot of these two names. And the reason why I take a screenshot of these guys is because I do type up an action plan and I do post all the charts so that people have all the levels that they can place on their charts for mine. Everyone's prepared. That's WIN, that's LVS. Let's take a look at the next one. Two, I should say. Lilly and SLDB. So Lilly, SLDB, let's take a look. So Lilly, stocks gapping up on that Morgan Stanley upgrade. Also, just momentum breakout to the upside. We were playing this one yesterday. That's what I was, saying. I wish we rolled it. And I was debating rolling it, and I didn't roll it because it was a little bit too expensive, but it is what it is. We'll have this on a longer term swing, which is nice. Okay, yep. It should be good for Lily. Oh, where'd that other line go? There you go. One sec, guys. I got to zoom in and place this one correctly. It kind of moved. There you go. It should be good. Let's take a look at the chart. All right, so Lily, pivot point to the upside today is 127.13. If that level is unable to break, we look for a pullback this morning towards 125.27 to 124.60. Supports, look for base in there to take the stock long. There's also EMA support and trend support on the daily at that area. So it's a big support area. If we can hold and break through that 127.13 level, we got room towards 128.16 on the upside. If that level gets taken out, we should see further continuation into the 129. Let's label it exactly 129.16 spot. Okay, so 128, 128.16, 129.16. So that's what we'll be looking for there. Overall on Lily, going to be leaning on the bullish side, looking for continuation higher. I think it's a great looking daily chart, and the calls are really cheap on it, guys. So if you do like to play options, this is definitely one to be looking at this morning. SLDB, let's take a look at this name. Obviously, I got some resistance lines on this thing charted already from previous date or times playing it. Let's take a look at where she's got room today. I'm going to make sure that what's a Fibonacci extension, it looks like. Okay. Get rid of those. Just going to start fresh. All right, let's see where this thing's got room to today. So stock's gapping up right now. It hit about 740 in the pre-market. You got a little bit of a flag actually on it, guys. Keep that on radar right now. You got a little bit of a flag that right here. Let's take a look at where we got room to. $538. That 50 EMA. That would make more sense. Get rid of this. Above 694, you're into the gap. 837. Bottom end support, 790. A bit of resistance there. Okay. I'm gonna go one higher. I'm just basically looking ahead just in case it does break out, guys. So I'm prepared. Oops. Flat 837. 930. All right, let's take a look at what we got going on in the stock here. Intraday. A couple different levels to be looking at. Oh, that's right. Gotta get that last support level. Can't forget that. Bottom range support. There you go. All right, so let's take a look at what we got. So stock's gapping up. Pivot point to the upside is going to be this 567 level of resistance on the daily. If that level is unable to hold, look for a pullback towards $5 to 445 on the downside. 567 holds. We got room to the next two resistance points, 650 to 695 on the upside. We take that out. We got a decent amount of room into the gap. Next resistance will be that 790 level on the upside. And then after that, 838. On these smaller stocks, I always like to go and give multiple levels ahead, just looking a little bit more ahead, just in case they do end up running. I'm just prepared for them because it does happen. I mean, most notable was like LMPX, where I did a whole bunch of Fibonacci extensions so that if it did start to run, I knew exactly where it could get to. In this case, 567 pivot point level holds room towards 650 to 695. That breaks. We see 790s on the upside. 567 unable to hold. Look for a pullback to 445. We can then look for some base in there to take the stock long. Most likely, you won't see much of a bounce, though. I think once these names kind of die out, they're done. So that is Lilly, and that is SLDB. One sec. There we go. Screenshot that. Let's take a look at the next two. Alrighty. Let's take a look at the last two. Fix and SLD, or sorry, Fix and FedEx. Fix FedEx. So Fix, these guys, Fix, these guys got down on their face. 1.5 gene therapy trial for PKU data release. Stock's gapping down on that. Let's take a look at where we got room to. Oh, wow, massive run up into the data release. So that's obviously a negative because it has so much room to give back. Let's take a look at definitely the next support levels. I like these types of charts, guys, from a technical standpoint. The lows, the highs, they stand out. Easy to chart these things out. All righty, let's take a look at where we got room to today. We should go with a couple different ones here. Let's pace them out a little bit. This. Alrighty, that looks good. Just looking at the weekly, what I do, guys, is if there's a ton of different support resistance lines in the same area, I just go to bigger time frames to see which ones are the strongest, and then I pick those because those will be the most relevant. 1769 pivot point for the stock intraday. Level breaks, room for continuation higher towards 1958 on a rebound. That level breaks, we can see 2120, aka last day's low as well. Unable to hold 1769 pivot support, look for a pullback to 1625. We'll see if that breaks. We'll see a little bit more of a pullback towards 1416 on the downside. Overall, on the name, going to be leaning bearish. Going to be looking for any sort of pop topping to take the stock short. Stock did have a massive run up into the data. It basically ran from what? Well, it almost ran 100%. So I think we can see a little bit more of a pop topping, pull the stock back down, and then look for some basing maybe later on in the day. Usually these biotechs, that's what you get off the open. You get a little bit of a pop and then they sell off the rest of the day. So that's what I'll be looking for on fix, maybe an all-day kind of fader after the bounce. Let's take a look at FedEx. Stock's gapping down to about 150, 138 a share. So we basically hit that price target we had yesterday, guys, for the after hours, which was the bottom of the range recently. Let's take a look at where we got room to today. $147.93, 144.80. $50 EMA. Just looking for one line that I did previously. See if it's still valid. Yes. Yes. All right, let's take a look at the stock intraday. The one right above the pivot is not valid. There you go. Get rid of that. Okay, so stock's gapping up, obviously. Or sorry, gapping down, obviously. Pivot point on the upside today is going to be, or on the downside, it's going to be that 150.89 area. Big range support of recent to the downside. Levels able to hold, we can bounce back towards 155 to 157.45, aka the 50 EMA on the daily. If we start to bounce, that will be the magnet. If we are unable to start to bounce, look for a pullback down towards 147.92. If that level breaks, we got further room for continuation lower into the 145s on the downside. So overall on FedEx, going to be leaning on the bearish side. They did lower 2020 guidance. Last earnings, I don't know if you guys remember, they slashed their guidance quite a bit. They still weren't able to, beat on earnings this time around, which is pretty pathetic. They're lowering guidance again, so that's obviously a negative. So what I will be looking for is continuation to the downside. A little bit of a bounce, and then obviously topping to take the stock short. So leaning bearish on FedEx. That is Fix and FedEx. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FAANG. I'm just going to save this so that if my platform crashes, which it ultimately will at some point today, as it does, I can and don't need to rechart everything. Save that. Alrighty. Let's take a look at the next couple names we're looking at today, which are the SPY and the FAANG. So let's take a look at the market. What's going on here with the SPY? Get rid of that line. Get rid of that line. I'm pretty sure this is the exact same levels as yesterday. Let's just quickly check after I delete some lines here. All right, I want to delete that blue one there, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so what's going on with the SPY? Same levels as yesterday, guys. 320.39 is your pivot point to the upside today. That's that pivot resistance to the upside. If we're able to break that level, we got room for continuation to 321.37. Unable to break 320.39 to the upside, look for a pullback to 319. 17 on the downside. That level breaks, we can see 318s tested. Overall in the market, I am leaning bullish. I just wanted to quickly do something with you guys here. Let's take a look at the channel in the short term to the upside. Something that I do like to do regularly. We were looking at it yesterday, and I was noticing that the market was trading in the middle of the channel, and we kind of wanted to pull back to retest the lower end of it. So let's just chart that out real quick. So there's that. Extend the channel. There's your uptrend. Okay. So we're at the bottom of the uptrend channel almost. Let's look at this. Look at the market intraday. This is going to help us figure exactly where that pullback level would be too. Okay, so the pivot to the upside 320.39 basically probably will be around if the market does pull back 319.30s would be the uptrend to retest on the daily. So we got to pay attention to that level because it's big. If it breaks, obviously you can start to really roll over. If it holds up, we should just be able to bounce off the bottom of the channel, continue to the upside, just like we've been doing. Trading within that channel for a couple of weeks now. So pay attention to that as well. That's the SPY, leaning bullish. Overall, we got uptrend support. We got EMA support on the daily. I think that's bullish. We got a bullish consolidative pattern to the upside. A little bit of a short-term head and shoulders. We need a break for continuation higher, which will give you that level right now, which is pretty much what 320.16 to the upside. We'll see if we can get through it today. But overall, bullish on the market for now. Let's take a look at Apple. Hate these little misprint candles. It kind of screws up looking at the chart intraday. Yes, it does. Let's see if I can go to an hourly. Just make it look a little bit neater. Okay, that I guess helps. And there should be a resistance at 284. There you go. So Apple, same levels as yesterday, exact same. 280.05 pivot point, level holds room towards 282. If that breaks, we can see 284.22 on the upside. 280.05 unable to hold, look for a pullback to 277.48, also where the 50 EMA is on the hourly chart. If that breaks, we see 275.80 on the upside. On Apple, leaning bullish still. I think it's bullish consolidation. We'll see what happens today. Short-term EMA support, we're just over it. Long-term EMA support, we are still over it by quite a bit. Apple definitely needs to hold up for the market to push. So that's what we'll be paying attention to today. Let's take a look at Amazon. So Amazon on the daily broke out of the range to the upside, which is fantastic. However, it is a little bit extended to the upside now on the daily. So you got a tad bit of an extension to the upside into resistance. So with that being said, I'm going to be watching these res levels to the upside very closely today. If we start to see topping, we will see it pull back and want to fill that gap. So 1796 pivot point to the upside today. Level holds room towards 1806. If that breaks, we got room towards 18. Basically 24 on the upside. So it's quite a bit of big breakout if you can get above that 1806. 1796 unable to hold. Look for a pullback to 1785 to the 1777 area on the downside. Overall on Amazon, going to be leaning bullish if we can break and hold above this pivot this morning. I think we can get a little bit more of a squeeze on the upside before a pullback, but we'll see if it's able to hold up. If it starts to get rejected right at the pivot, then we know it's going to want to pull back and fill the gap towards that 177 area. So that is Amazon. Let's take a look at Netflix. Amazon, Netflix, next one. So we talked about this yesterday. Netflix is basically broken out of huge resistance on the daily to the upside. Let me take off the studies. You can see that big range break It's over in the pre-market, which is great. We got room for continuation to the upside today above that level. Let's take a look at where we got room to. So we got a little bit of resistance right here. We're basically at the next level right now. 1780s. If we're able to break and hold above this level, we get room towards, sorry, not 1780s, 1318. Able to break and hold above that level, we got room towards 322.80. Unable to hold 317.80. Look for a pullback towards the 311.14 area to the downside. So overall, this is your pivot point. We're testing the range break to the upside on the daily. If you hold above it, it's a big breakout. We got more room. If you're unable to hold it, then we'll retest those 311s. So pay attention to that this morning. Decent little gap up for now. Leaning bullish on Netflix, but obviously it needs to hold above that pivot point. Facebook, I like the continued bounce off the 50 EMA to the upside. 199.12 is your pivot point to the upside today. Level is able to hold. Room towards 263. Break that. You can see 204s. Unable to break that, unable to hold the 199 at 13 level. Look for a pullback towards 197.35 on the downside. I'm leaning bullish on Facebook. I think we can get continuation higher. I like the option buying activity on it as well. So I'll look for a continued push to the upside today. Let's take a look at the last one, Google, and then I'll pass it over to South Beach. Facebook, here's Google, and then I'm passing to South Beach. So Google, what's going on here? Stock is basically continuing to grind to the upside. Pivot point to the upside today is, where's 1353? It's 1353. Level holds, room for continuation back towards that all-time high level, 1363, 1364. If that breaks, 1370s will be tested. Unable to hold, look for a pullback to 1347. Leaning bullish, neutral on Google. I think it just continues to kind of grind higher on that name. So that's the SPY, that's the FAANG, guys. That's the individual names that we are looking at today. I'm going to post these charts for the guys in chat, type up the action plan. I'll show you guys what it looks like after. And then while I'm doing this, South Beach is going to come on, give you a breakdown of the macro environment, any analyst calls he likes for the day, and then we'll go from there. South Beach, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Good morning, guys. Welcome. Next time, I'm just looking one thing up. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Bond market is probably doing nothing. I looked at it a little bit ago. And there's really nothing to garner from what's going on. The bond market is kind of in a holding pattern, will be for the foreseeable future. So you're not going to get any great insight from it unless there's some kind of change. Okay. I think everybody's where they want to be, other than maybe Britain, because they're going through this Brexit situation. Okay. Everybody else is kind of sort of in a holding pattern. Let's see what happens. All right. China, nothing out of China overnight that I thought was going to affect our market. Brexit, I think reality is setting in Britain. You know, the election's out of the way, but they still have, you know, the heavy lifting to do regarding Brexit, and that thing looks like it's going to go on for another year. So they want to be done by the end of 2020. So we're going to have to listen to this crap for another 12 months. Okay, the impeachment situation is coming to the foreground. I should call it the impeachment charade. Not that the indictment or the accusations are true or false. That's not really our concern here, trading stocks. Our concern is whether the president will be impeached, and we know that's not going to happen, right? They're going to go to the Senate. It's going to be a clown show. So why are they wasting everybody's time? I have no idea. All right. So you have the election, no change in that respect. So a lot of no changes. So what kind of environment are we in? All right. We're in an environment with really low interest rates that should stay this way for a long time. And when you look at the investment alternatives, okay, whether it be real estate, stocks, bonds, et cetera, it seems to me that stocks are the only game in town. Really does. Okay, and so I expect the stock market, barring something coming out of left field, to continue, to attract money. That's how I see it. Point of least resistance in the market is up. I mean, we're going to have ups and downs along the way, but generally, if you want to beat inflation, which is really low, but even nevertheless, you have to be in stocks. Okay, and you can pick the way you want to play it, but at the end of the day, real estate, I don't know about where you live, but the Northeast corridor, for the most part, stinks. Okay, so some places where you live may be better, but it's an illiquid investment by and large, and I think stocks are the only game in town. Okay, so let's see what we got individually today. Okay, then I'll hit different stocks that I think are important. Okay, coming out of the research on the short side. Okay, FedEx. Most people are bullish on FedEx. Okay, the guy who's been right is Morgan Stanley, and he reduced his target from 111 to 109. I think he's a little aggressive, but he's been right. Okay, so who's to argue? A lot of guys, say this is a one-time thing, et cetera. They're investing they're investing for e-commerce and all this other stuff. I mean, when I looked at FedEx and I was deciding whether to invest in this company, what I saw was a company whose CapEx was just too high. Their free cash flow to CapEx is horrible. They're always investing. It's not my kind of company. And so I stayed away from it always. Every time I looked at it, give it a second chance, I came away with the same conclusion. They just, the cost of keeping that business up is just too high. That being said, look, the chart, it's in the penalty box. None of you are good enough to pick bottoms, okay? So stay the hell away from this thing, all right? I've tried, and the reason I say it, because I've tried to pick bottoms, and every time I get smashed. So I stopped trying. So I'm giving you sage advice. Stay away from crappy companies, or companies that are in a bad way, I should say. They're not really a crappy company, all right? The chart, look at the weekly chart, and what do you see? A stock that's gone from 270 to 160, okay? It's awful. Stay away. Let it build the base. Let it have some good news, yada, yada, yada. All right. So anyway, they don't like FedEx. Other downgrades that I thought were significant, EPRT was downgraded at RBC to a sell with a 22 target. I guess that's okay. And Halliburton was downgraded by BMO Capital with a 23 target. Here's the thing, I'm confused about the oil sector because generally I'd be buying it starting maybe at the end of next week for a year-end tax play. Just it's gotten beat up and the cells will disappear, et cetera. My conflict is fossil fuels. Is that area of the work, of the business just done? And I just don't know. If I bought a stock in the group, I would be Schlumberger, COP, and probably EOG, maybe CXO also, those names. But let's see what happens, okay? We have time. I've been in and out of them. I've been renting the stocks on the long side, but basically kicking them out for the most part at the end of the day, unless they were a special situation. Okay, so that's the short side. Let's look at, here's on the long side, here's one of the special situations that I've been in is this WPX. I carried it the last couple of days. I am not in it now, but it got upgraded in two places where one was JP Morgan and the other really doesn't matter because it was JP Morgan and they're a heavyweight. Okay. So they upgraded the target to 17 and they did an acquisition that they're high on. What other calls were big? The Lilly call. I like the Lilly call. I know Spartan went over it as well. Raised the target to 150. 150. Stock's 125. They had their annual meeting yesterday, analyst meeting, and that went very well. So, oh, I missed one on the short side. AMC, Bank America goes to a sell $7 target. I kind of like this. You know, with the Netflix thing, bringing a movie real time, whatever that one was, the Scorsese movie, seems to me like theater. I don't like that whole concept of going to a theater. Okay, I think it's in the eighth inning. Okay, I haven't been to a movie theater in God knows how long, probably 5-10 years. So that's it on the short side. So I like the Lilly call. All right. Morgan Stanley upgraded semis from a to a cautious to an equal weight. Ignore the guy; he stinks. Okay, been wrong, usually wrong. Not worth paying attention to. Netflix was upgraded in two places, both saying the same thing: that Disney is not going to affect their business. Okay, that bringing one of the streamings online, let's say you bought Disney, doesn't mean you're going to get rid of Netflix, and I think they're right. So I think that's a decent call. Okay, that came out of Bank America and Cowen. Okay, let's see other calls. A lot of guys like FedEx. This JMP Securities, who I do not like, initiated IOV, whatever the IOVA, which I have. Okay, target 38. Truly, I don't care that they are upgrading the stock. It doesn't mean shit to me. All right. But what does mean shit to me is that, I think none of us, maybe one or two of you guys, really understands biotech well. Not many, because it's just too hard. There's too many things to know, and it's really hard. That's why if you're going to play that group, I suggest you do it with options, because being wrong is going to be really painful. You saw that wave, WVE. Okay, they had bad announcement. You saw what they did to that stock. It's live by the sword, die by the sword situation. It was at 40 and it closed at 15. You just get your ass kicked. It's not for me. If you're going to play these names, I think the best way to play them is to look at the 13F HRs in the stock and see who owns them. Okay, if you see that maybe Perceptive Advisors owns them or Baker Brothers owns it, that's like a ringing endorsement. There's probably one or two other guys that are decent, maybe RA. But if I see a stock that these guys have a good position in, it gives me, unless they have a good position in them, I'm not getting involved in the name. And IOVA is Perceptive's 1, 2, 3, fourth biggest position. So I feel okay about that one, and I like the trading in it. So what else? On the long side, let's see. KeyBank likes Teladoc. Here's one. Viacom. Needham likes this stock with a $50 target. I've been accumulating this stock. You guys know that. The reason being is I think there's going to be a lot of cost savings from the merger. And additionally, the PE on the combined companies is going to be super low. It was Viacom B had a PE of 6. CBS, I think, was like a 9. So let's say it's a 7 or 8, and they can cut expenses. So my thinking is that, that it should go back to a 10 or a 12. And assuming they don't lose too much business in the future, I think the stock can work its way up to $50. And I'm long it. Okay. So that one I like. What else? Oh, Delta upgrade, hold to buy, $70 target. Deutsche Bank, StockX, really, really well. I think I like the group, and I like Delta the best in the group. Okay, Delta and UAL in that order, probably 1, 2, Southwest being 3. American Airlines has really, in my opinion, crappy management. And if they ever replace these guys, the stock could really go. So it's the cheapest in the group, but it's also the worst run. So that's my thinking on the group. I've been following this group for a really long time. It was the first group I followed when I got into the business. That was my sector. What else? Telephone, another stock I'm in. Citibank reiterates the buy in that one. State Street, they like that, and they like ESPR, which I think is a biotech, right? Yeah. Okay, so they like that one. Other ones, everything else is kind of not worthwhile. A lot of REIT stuff. Cold was upgraded by JP Morgan, and there was a rumor yesterday that someone was thinking that it could get taken over. There was some kind of rumor from one of these blogs. So that's that. Another interesting thing last night, Kramer went over Caroline Broden, who's pretty good, Fibonacci woman, and she had highlighted 4 stocks with really pie in the sky targets, those being Shop, Nvidia, PayPal, and Home Depot. Okay. Nvidia, for argument's sake, their target was 388. PayPal 128, Home Depot 247, like that. So she's a pretty smart woman, and she had really high targets. Okay, like a melt-up situation. So just pointing that out. Okay, Syndicate today. I didn't see much. I think Syndicate is kind of sort of, done. 2 deals, the Stars Group and some NLTX. I don't really know either one of them. So nothing really there. I think that's going to be pretty quiet going forward. I bought a pipeline. I think I'm revisiting pipeline stocks with that takeover yesterday of TGE. Okay, some of these stocks have really high dividend yields. And if you put them in your IRA and the stocks can migrate up and or just pay their dividend, you can make really good returns next year. So I bought one. I'm looking at some others. If you guys are interested in the name, you can direct message me and I will tell you. Okay. But I'm still buying it. So wait, give me 20 minutes after the opening. Okay. I haven't finished my purchases yet. Almost done. All right. But I like it. And Cigna. Let's talk about Cigna. Okay. They sold the business for $6 billion and they instituted a $4 billion buyback. Look, the stock is super cheap at 150. At 196, it's probably worth 220. Okay, that's originally where I thought it would go. I got off the bus at 201 or something like that. I'm considering getting back in, but I did not like the action in the group yesterday. Okay, so I think I want to see how it acts for the first hour, and I'll let you know if I do anything. All right, on that one. That's about it. Okay, since I don't see any questions, all right, I will pass the baton back to Spartan. And thank you for your time. And if, the only advice I'll give you, if today is going to be like yesterday, is pick your spots and don't overtrade. And one thing that's important in this kind of market, put orders on the floor, even though if you don't think you're going to get filled, because I've been finding that if I throw an order down there to cover a short or something, I get much better pricing. Okay, you didn't even think you bought it, and then you look and there it is, you bought it, you covered your short. All right, so I think that's good advice there too. I'm not shorting SICI. It's not, in my opinion, don't short stocks that have charts like that. It's bad policy. Okay, Spartan, it's all yours, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, South Beach. All righty, guys, let's take a look at what we got going on this morning. So, quick little recap of what we talked about today, or what we've done this today in terms of the individual names and the SPY and the FAANG. Here's the pre-market action plan. You guys can take a look at that. Pause it on YouTube if you're watching it. There's that. There's that. Sweet. So you got all that stuff. You guys already saw the charts from earlier. Options ideas right there. And then Beth's little ideas with the actual levels as well, just to help you guys out. Okay, good, we good. All right, cool. So let's take a look at what we got going on this morning. Quick little recap. Pre-market tickers on watch. Let's see what we got going on today. So a couple different names that we're looking at: Win, LVS, Lilly, SLDB, Fix, and FedEx. Win, China raises Macau transfer limit from 50K to 80K. Also, CEO Maddox contract through 2022. Stocks gapping up. LVS, same news on the Macau transfer limit being raised. Lilly, Morgan Stanley upgrades to overweight price target 150, which South Beach just talked about. After yesterday's 2020 guidance update, stocks gapping up. SLDB, positive update on its phase 1.5 study for SGT 0001. Stocks gapping up on that. Now pulling back room to $5. That's your next support, guys. Fix announces clinical data from phase 1.5 study for gene therapy trial for PKU. Stocks gapping down on that. Big run up into that data release. And then FedEx earnings missed, EPS and revs 2020 guidance lowered. Stocks gapping down. Let's take a look at these names from an individual standpoint intraday. First two, Win and LVS. Let's take a look. So Win and LVS. Win 138.45, pivot point to the upside today. What's the pivot? Big, strong support or resistance level on the daily, which if it gets crossed, we have more room to the upside or more room to the downside into support. Basically, it's a level that I use as an intermediary level between some support and resistance on the daily. In this case, 138.45 is that level. Breaks room towards 141.23 on the upside. Take that out, we see 143.79. Unable to hold 138.45, look for a pullback to 136.02. That level breaks, 132.71 will be tested. I'm leaning bullish on Win, but looking for a little bit of a pullback basing, take the stock long. LVS, massive breakout on the daily at the 69.82 level. This pivot's huge. If this level is able to hold, we got room for a continuation to 71. That level breaks, we can see further continuation to 72.11. 69.82 unable to hold, look for a pullback to 68.47 to 67.49 on the downside. We can look for a basing there to take the stock long. Overall on LVS, going to be leaning on the bullish side, but going to need that pivot to hold in order for me to want to go long that stock. Lilly, and let's take a look at SLDB. So Lilly stock's gapping up, 127.13 pivot. Level breaks, room towards 128.16. Take that out, we see 129.16 on the upside. 127.13 unable to hold, look for a pullback to 125.27 to 124.60 on the downside. I am leaning bullish on Lilly, going to be looking for continuation higher, but we need to hold that 127.13 to the upside for that continued push. SLDB, 567 is your pivot. That's why I was saying it has room to $5 because it does. Hope to pivot to the downside. If it holds below that level this morning, room to 5 to 445. We can maybe look for basing after there to take the stock long. You know, typically when these names, you know, the momentum's gone, it's gone for the day. But we'll watch that 567 pivot. If it does hold this morning, we got room to 650 to 695. Breaks, 790 will be tested. I am actually leaning bullish on the SLDB. We'll see if it can hold that pivot this morning. Let's take a look at Fix and the FedEx. Fix, FedEx. Fix, 1769 is your pivot point to the upside today. I want to just show you the run up into the data, obviously. Stocks, you know, trades like this though quite a bit. It has a lot of range, you know, within months. 3-month, 4-month range is quite high. We're talking like 10 points on a, you know, usually 15, I guess, dollar stock on average. 1769 pivot point to the upside today. Level holds room towards 1958 to 2120. I'll be looking for topping there to take the stock short. 1769 holds, look for, or is unable to hold, look for a pull towards 1625. That level breaks, we'll see the 1416 level on the downside be tested. Overall on Fix, I am leaning on the bearish side. I can be looking for pop and topping to take the stock short. FedEx, 1589 pivot point to the upside today. If this level is unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 147.92 on the downside. If that level breaks, we see 145.05. If we hold 150.89, look for a bounce back towards 155.06. We take that level out, 157.45 will be tested on the upside. Overall on FedEx, going to be leaning bearish, looking for topping to take the stock short. Let's take a look at the SPY. One second. I want this paste. There you go. So SPY, same levels as yesterday. I'm leaning bullish. Pivot to the upside today is 320.39. Level breaks from towards 321.37. Unable to break. We got to pull back towards 319.17. We are holding the uptrend on the daily. We're still in the range or in the uptrend channel. Looks bullish. Basically, we're kind of in a consolidative pattern right now. We got to break this head and shoulders 320.16 to the upside for that continuation higher. That's going to be the key for us. Overall, though, leaning bullish on the SPY, looking for that continued push to the upside today. If we're unable to break the top of the range, we'll just trade off to the bottom of the range. We got the uptrend and EMA support as well on daily, supporting our trend, so no reason to not be bullish. Apple, same levels as yesterday, 280.05 pivot, level breaks from towards 282. On the upside, that breaks 284.22 will be tested. Unable to hold 280.05, look for a pullback to 277.50 to 276 on the downside. Sorry for that misprint candle. Apple bullish consolidation to the upside. We'll see if we can hold up. Pivot's going to be key, that 280.05 level. Amazon, a little bit extended on the daily. 1796 is your pivot to the upside today. If this level is able to break and hold, we're towards 1806, possibly 1822. 1796 unable to hold, look for a pullback to 1785, 1777. If the Amazon is able to hold up, that 1796 level definitely will get more of a push today. Even though it's extended, it can still push on that day of the extension. Netflix, the massive breakout on the daily is happening right now. It's breaking through that big range to the upside. We can hold above the 317.80 level. We should see continuation higher towards 322.82 on the upside. Unable to hold 317.80, look for a pullback towards 311.15 on the downside. Facebook, the 199.12 level pivot level holds from towards 260 to the upside. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 197.36. Leaning bullish on Facebook, looking for a continuation higher today. And the last one for the recap is 1353.19 pivot level holds, room for continuation towards the 1363.56. That breaks 1370.14 will be tested. 1353.19 unable to hold, look for a pullback to 1347. Leaning bullish on Google. We should see basically continuation stair step to the upside. It's grinding higher. That's basically it. So guys, that's it for the stream on YouTube. We're going to cut it off right here. Thanks for joining us this morning. If you guys want to come into the chat for 1 to 2 days, just try it out. We never open it up to the public for next to nothing, but this is for a good cause, for charity. So Toys for Tots, if you guys want to come in, go to the website. There's a donation link there. And yeah, you can donate $1, come in for 2 days, see what we do. Lotto Friday on Friday, obviously. Should be a good one. Anywho, that's it, guys. Thanks for popping in. See ya. All right, you guys, questions, shoot them at me. Let's go. By the way, guys, market's pushing here. Bye. Looks good.